You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Welcome back, everyone, once again to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast deep dive on the show everyone is still talking about, WandaVision on Disney+. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
This is the show of the year, guys. This is the thing.
So far.
This is the thing.
This is the thing.
What a ride.
No, that's all anyone was talking about. It's all the memes were being made.
Yeah.
And then here it is. It's been a week since it aired, our time as we're recording this. And like there's an article every day. Every website I click on, there's an article. The creators revealed this Easter egg we just found. Like they're still mining this for clicks.
Yeah, you guys even made me go back and make it was a Pearl Mutter After All song for the patrons.
The villain, right? The villain of our podcast would be Ike Perlmutter. So from day one of this podcast, maybe we didn't know it. So it was Perlmutter After All. All right, so we have yet to talk about episode 9, the finale. Our download numbers on the Wanda episodes have been better than normal. So thank you all the listeners who are sharing our interest in this show. It kind of confirms, that we love, diving into this stuff and figuring it out. So we're glad you're joining us for this expedition.
Yeah. Glad to have you. Hopefully we answer your questions. Let's go through this epised.
And let's make a mess of it. Let's tear it apart and tell everyone how
I'm going to tear it apart and put it back together.
And it'll be all white.
Yeah. All right, we're going to have to think of a name for that.
That probably doesn't sound right. But
we might have to cut that out.
White. We're going to have to explain yourself.
Okay, so let's just go through it kind of beat by beat here so we can kind of keep track. A lot of this episode, this was the big stuff. This is the action scene. People who came into this wanting another Marvel movie had to sit through a whole bunch of sitcom-y stuff. Well, now we finally get the payoff. We get the action.
They got to sit through a bunch of sitcoms.
Right, exactly. So a lot of this stuff we're going to talk about happens, like it flashes from scene to scene. So this might be a little bit out of order from this is not a commentary track, but I'll try to get to everything that happened, but it might not be in the exact order we're going to talk it.
Gotcha.
Started with of course, previously on WandaVision, and they go out of their way to talk about these runes and how a witch can't use their power.
Which
and
I was like,
hey, Seth had that thought.
Boom. I was like, yep, I called it. That's definitely going to happen. Even though I will say that they cleverly revealed it. I didn't see it coming when it happened. I
didn't either.
Even though I called it, I didn't see it when it happened.
Yeah, you can usually tell what a show's going to focus on by the previously on, and that seemed like that didn't seem important to focus back on that, but it was. So this picks up right where we left off. Wanda is fighting with Agnes, who has been revealed as Agatha Harkness. Every bolt Wanda throws at her, Agatha is absorbing, and we got the red chaos magic of Wanda and the dark purpley whatever her magic is. And she says, "I take power from the undeserving." So that's her. That's what we said. She wants to know how Wanda's doing this, where she's getting all this power from. And so at the end of last episode, we learned that she was you were the chosen one. Yeah, she is the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I was trying to think about that because you're saying, like, I'm not sure what I equate a lot of stuff to D&D when you get into magic and stuff, and I had heard Jack Schaefer, the showrunner, was talking about how says this chaos magic they from like a school of creation magic, where she's able to just create. She created these people. She's just so powerful to be able to do that. But I'm not sure what school you would call what Agnes is doing, but she's definitely all about stealing other people's magic and using it. She has to have that to be powerful.
Yeah, that was
the whole reason she came here, is to get her magic.
Right, that was the initial scene of her back in Salem with the other witches. She's
Yeah,
because they had the blue magic.
Right.
And she whatever she absorbs turns it purple. So it's her own personal brand. All right, so Wanda is starting to, amp up the fight. Her hands are turning black. She's getting those Mitch McConnell hands, everything's decrepit. Moving on. And so Agatha says, if you surrender your magic, she'll let Wanda keep her little corner of the world. So you don't want all this power. Why do you want this? So she says, just give it to me and I'll fix the problems with this spell and you can live here. It's fine. So Wanda answers that by hitting her with a car.
A Buick.
Smashing into the side of a house. Was it a Buick? She has a type.
It was a Buick. It's the Buick. It's literally the Buick.
Was it the
I'm
Buick?
pretty sure it's the Buick.
Right.
and I'm sure you're going to say it I had sent you guys a message saying it was very, I was getting Wizard of Oz vibes before this. And how Vision is he's the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion all rolled up in one. And he even makes a couple comments, which I'm sure they do that on purpose. That's what makes me think of it. But then Agnes is laying under the car with her feet sticking out like the Wicked Witch of the East. I was like, I was Leo.
And later on, the marquee in the movie is Oz the Great and Powerful. So they're definitely playing into that. So she knocks Agatha out for a minute. And right then, the White Vision arrives.
Okay, wait.
Does that thing have it? Does it have a name?
It sounds like we're betting on the Irish boxer. We're like, yeah, come on, White Vision. All my money on White Vision.
Well, did they ever have a name in the? Was there a differentiation in the comics of how they?
I don't think they called him anything other than Vision.
Yeah, they just called him.
In the credits, they call that character Vision also. And have you guys heard any other names? I was trying to come up with names. Frosty the Clone Man.
I thought Tidy Whitey because of the weird. He has weird lines in his crotch. It looks like he's wearing underwear.
Yeah, I'm going with Pale Bettany.
Okay, so this is the first time Wanda has seen him, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he takes her head in his hands gently, and then starts to crush her head.
Yes, I'm crushing your head.
I'm crushing you. So they don't get along right off the bat.
No.
So then the real Vision swoops in.
They're in the house. Safe. Vision. I should have told you everything. The moment I realized what I'd done.
It's all right, Wanda. I know why you made this world, but this...
I can fix it.
Can you?
So then we pair off. We have a big fight. We have a big Marvel-style fight scene.
Yeah.
So which, if you watch the little documentary thing afterwards, they showed all the characters on wires being zipped around, and
That was pretty neat.
She says like she's used to being the only flyer in a scene because going back to all these movies Wanda's been in, not a lot of these characters fly. So having all these characters on wires being pulled in different directions was pretty neat. Okay, so from here we check in on the Sword team, and we see Hayward trying to cover everything up. He thinks, hey, whatever Vision comes out of there alive, we'll reclaim it. I'll get credit for rehabbing him, and everything will be fine. No one will know what happened inside this hex, so it doesn't matter. He can get away with whatever.
Get away with what? I want to just because he's going down for this stuff. I want you to tell me what he did wrong.
Yeah, Cliff.
What he did wrong?
Yeah. What's he in trouble for?
For being bad. He's a bad guy.
He's for being bad, right?
Yeah. He's very mean. He's very mean. He shouts.
He's extremely not nice.
He raises his voice.
Because I decided, well, obviously he is editing the footage and stuff, like to make it look, where she came in there. That's bad. Of course, then I thought, so she every time something happens in one of her little sitcoms that she doesn't like, she just edits the footage. Okay.
Well, this show is not.
He
not
did
strictly black and
Cliff's
white.
going to tell us. He what?
Oh, good.
He sent the drone in and shot a missile at Wanda.
Okay.
So attempted murder.
Okay.
He unloaded a clip on a couple of children later.
Yeah. I know that another thing he did was he's trying to bring Vision back. Another thing she's doing.
Yeah.
So they're pretty tied in the things they like to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not pure evil. The military does need to deal with this. And then, and she is not pure good. She has a lot of blame, obviously. But, Jimmy, I would rather Jimmy be in charge. Whether he's good or evil, I would rather Jimmy Woo take care of all this. But he's in handcuffs.
He's a magic guy.
Yeah, he's in handcuffs at this point. Steals a phone and a safety pin. Gets out of the cuffs.
Got your peanut butter.
At what time do we make our first Riverdale reference of the evening?
Ding.
All right, so Jimmy gets out of the handcuffs with a flourish, which is a reference to his close-up magic days and training he put into learning magic
in Ant-Man.
In Ant-Man and the Wasp. And he calls Quantico. Betty picks up the phone, I'm sure.
Stop.
That's two Riverdale references. So he says he bluffed Hayward that his buddies from Quantico would be here within the hour. So whatever he's doing, he's not going to get away with. So then he does call Quantico. So somebody from the FBI is on their way.
But they don't have time to come because the TBK killer is loose.
They're out
we
in the
helping
fog.
anybody? Anyone that came to us for answers better watch.
Yeah, so then we see everyone out in the bog with Reggie. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Okay, back to WandaVision. Okay, so then we have Monica. And she's in Agnes's house in a man cave, hanging out with Quicksilver.
Yeah.
What is this stuff?
This is my man cave. Place to chillax, while the missus is stirring up trouble.
Who is not Pietro, her deceased brother.
You fan of Steven Seagal?
No. But he's like, he has his powers and stuff, and he is keeping her captive there.
Agnes doesn't live here. You do.
Oh.
You're Ralph Boner?
Boner.
How is she controlling you?
You want to tussle again? Huh?
Yeah,
she's feisty.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think Agatha wants her helping her.
Oh God! Please spare my life.
Nice to meet you, Ralph.
So this is hit the house that Agatha's living in.
Yes.
Is with he's there.
Yes.
And she had made reference to her husband Ralph.
Her husband Ralph, who had never been seen.
Right.
Or had he?
Right. I've got to get home and cook supper for Ralph. That kind of like 50s housewife thing.
What a gas.
Yeah. So we see this guy's an actor with headshots, and the name Ralph Boner is who he really is. He is not Pietro Maximoff. He's just a guy.
Boner. He's a dick joke.
He's just a guy.
He's Boner from Growing Pains, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
That's the reference, I'm sure. But he doesn't seem to know who he is. He's being controlled by Agatha. And Monica does her eyeball thing and sees energy waves coming from this necklace that he's wearing. And she rips the necklace off, and the real Ralph awakes and, is like, wow, I've been a whole different person this whole time.
She unleashes the boner.
So it was a slightly anticlimactic there when we find out that there's no reason that it was this actor other than to mess with people.
And I've got to say, there a lot of people weren't happy with this finale. To me, this was the biggest letdown.
Oof.
And I wasn't even like that worried. Like I wasn't really invested in Pietro or this actor or the multiverse nonsense. It was just okay. I guess that's what you're doing. Like,
can I say, let's just stop comment on that for a second, because one, I totally dug this finale, and we had kind of decided that all these major things this isn't our first rodeo, first off. So we know that it ain't going to happen, whatever everybody's talking about. People over expect, and you have to balance. I've heard the phrase, speculation without expectation is a good way to go. Have fun doing all this, but when it comes down to it, you're just going to get a normal ending most of the time. The problem that I could see people having, and I have a little bit of a problem with it, but not enough that I'm going to mention it. This is the worst example of red herrings on purpose that I've ever seen in one of these. Usually when they red herring you, whatever it is has some alternate explanation of why they did that. Yeah. But there was a ton of stuff that they used to point to something that just didn't have anything to do with anything else. There was so much devil talk and trying to give you that Mephisto vibe or, here and there. And there was so much like Dottie's the center of the town and yada, yada. And nothing with Emma Caulfield ever went anywhere. There was just so much obvious red herrings. And I don't like that. I don't like being messed with just to mess with me. I want them to have had a reason I didn't think of that they said this. Maybe it doesn't mean a lot, but
they hinted at so many different things, and for none of them to pay off. Like I think it would have been better if they would have just gave a little something. It didn't have to be a major thing, but all the speculation from every corner of the internet, and then for not to really get a payoff at all on any of it was it was a little like you're playing with fire a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Jordan?
I would like to go back and rewatch it all as a binge watch here at some point after I've let it settle and I forget some of it, because I'm gonna guess the show didn't really cheat and it didn't overpromise this stuff. I think we fed into a lot of that.
We did.
We are as to blame as we aren't as bad as some of the Reddit trolls, but we do a podcast. What do you think this means? We pick apart every little detail. But
I think it's partially due to it being a weekly episode format and not
right.
We drop the whole season on you.
My problem is it's a fine line there between I'm admitting that we do that and we follow these threads and that I'm just saying I don't want to hear the creators giving it, saying anything like sometimes they're like fans went too far. Where did they even get that? It's like you went to the Acme store and got your paint and you painted a big train tunnel on the side of a boulder. And when I walked into it, you're laughing at me because I did. You put it there.
But to me, all the devil stuff and those like that, it all fit the witchiness and that. Like to me, Quicksilver is the only example that really bugged me.
That's
because it means something. Casting this guy in this way for this reason meant something.
It's the most blatant.
And then say, oh no, it didn't mean anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still don't even mind it. None of it makes me mad. I just think they really push some of the stuff. I guess the result of it, the effect on me, is that next time, if I get another show like this very soon, I'm not going to dig too deep.
Well, it's a little aggravating.
They might be really messing with me,
because the show was so good. I don't want it to be forgotten and only remembered that, we thought all this stuff was going to happen, then it didn't pay off, so now I don't like the show. When the show in itself was great.
That's the way Lost is remembered. Lost was a great series. There were so many great episodes, but everyone just remembers the end was a letdown. So it sucked. It wasn't worth all that time I watched it.
This Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Game of Thrones. That last season, everyone let everyone down. So boo! It wasn't even worth watching. So I don't know. I wrote something down about that in my notes, but
we'll get there. Get us back on the thread here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll wrap up by how disappointed we all were versus how satisfied. All right. So back to the witch fight. Agatha explains that there's an entire chapter in the Darkhold about the Scarlet Witch. Of course, Wanda knows nothing about this. She's like, I didn't train. Nobody taught me spells. I'm not a witch. I just have this power. So she confirms that this fabled being, the Scarlet Witch, her power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme, meaning Doctor Strange, the only magic character the Marvel Universe has introduced so far. The main guy. She has more power than him, even though he is like a savant. Master of the mystic arts, that just in raw power she has more than Doctor Strange. And then she says it's her destiny to destroy the world, which I kind of forgot until I watched it this second time. That
she says that in the show.
Yeah, she says it's the Scarlet. According to this chapter in the Darkhold, it's the Scarlet Witch's destiny to destroy the world. Which, that's setting something up for the future, I'm sure. And as we go on,
this world could be the world she created.
True. But as these conflicts keep going, Agatha keeps saying stuff like, "You're going to need me. You're going to or you don't know what you're doing. That if you do this, it's going to end badly." Like there's several little moments speaking to this prophecy that at least she believes. Wanda's going to do something, but the Scarlet Witch isn't a good thing. It's a being of destruction.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So to kind of prove this point, Agatha starts waking up the townspeople, and they start coming to and getting their own voices back, and just kind of come up, 360-degree throng of people begging her and pleading with her, like, let me go, let my kid go, please, you're hurting us. We dream your nightmares. Or
This is like all of us. Like we also 5 days into being in the bubble, COVID bubble, we're like, just kill us.
If you can't free us, kill us. But pretty affecting to me as a viewer, and it worked on Wanda. She feels this pain, so she opens up the hex she's like, okay, go, you can leave.
Yeah.
But when this door opens, Sword rushes in with a bunch of vehicles, and her family starts disappearing. Vision and the twins start breaking apart, Marty McFly style. Their hands are waving their hands in front of their faces and disappearing. Now, I thought it was kind of cool. It looked a little bit, if you remember the House of M comic.
Yeah.
There's a famous piece of art of it looks like she's coming apart in it looks like Tetris blocks almost.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the effect they used. It wasn't like the snap
Pixels.
in the Avengers movies. It wasn't dust. It was these weird pixelated blocks. So
she closes it, right?
So she's like, oh, I can't lose my family, so she closes the door.
Does this not remind you of something? I just want this because this show can't decide. I mean, I love that, bordering, is she good or bad? Obviously she is good, but she's so
because even at this point the people are begging her and she's like, no, you're fine. I made you happy. Everything's good here. Like, she's trying to convince them they're okay.
She is extremely selfish and deluded.
Yeah.
When I hear people like, oh, see, obviously she's bad. I've heard a couple of people be like, it's, she's doing this. She is very selfish and lying to herself and has comforted herself with these, sitcoms and all in this world and all these people. She doesn't want them to suffer until it involves her not having her family. And I'm like, well, before you crown her villain, you at the same time you are sentencing Tony Stark, because I mean, Endgame is one of my favorite movies ever, but he could have snapped everything back to perfect, except he had to have his daughter. And because of that, tons of people suffered, illustrated it very clearly. I mean, they're pointing this out in this show. Monica comes back and did not get to spend the last couple of years with her mom before she died. And that's all because of Tony Stark. So it's the exact same situation of what Wanda is doing. She selfishly wants this family, just like he wanted his family. So if she's a villain, he's a villain, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I've always said that. That Tony's the cause of every problem in the Marvel universe. But he created Vision, so hey, that's a plus in this.
So she.
Okay, so at this point, the Visions are back to fighting, and these effects are cool, like the phasing in and out, the throwing each other through the ground, like it was good.
Both battles are great because they do exactly what I want. This is where some people are like, oh, it went back to the same old Marvel flying thing again. I was like, no, because both of these battles are great. One, you have two women fighting, and I'm not my favorite thing isn't the big battles, but still, it's nice to see after a whole season of not seeing it. And then they're flying around, and it's two women, and they're talking, like, saying things about that, about how, something about whoever's going to be, something with mom genes, and they'll always stick pitchforks at women like us, and just all this female stuff which is great to see. And then with the Vision, you have this cool battle where they are both exactly the same. It's like you cannot, once they're phasing in and out, and one cannot defeat the other. And then that's not even the battle they end up having.
Right.
Which I've totally, when this happened, I was like, I've heard the story before, but I was like, it is such a crutch to me. Go, this is Jordan's territory. I don't even have to think about this. Tell us all about the ships and stuff.
Well, I saw that same criticism of like, well, it's like every Marvel movie has to end with a big CGI battle. And yeah, it did. But that was not a criticism for me for this because of the way both the battles ended. It wasn't just who could beat up who. It was the mental twist.
Right.
So, yeah, this is when they fight each other and through the library. And he says, he's, he. I'm using the pronoun he. You know who I'm talking about. Vision, the other Vision. So he says he's not the true Vision, but only a conditional Vision, he says. So he shouldn't, the White Vision's mission is to kill the other Vision. And he says, I'm not Vision. I'm a conditional Vision. And he pauses a second and says, I request elaboration. So that's going to be a meme forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I request elaboration.
The ship of Theseus is an artifact in the museum. Over time, its planks of wood rot and are replaced with new planks. When no original plank remains, is it still the ship of Theseus? Secondly, if those removed planks are restored and reassembled free of the rot, is that the ship of Theseus? Neither is the true ship. Both are the true ship. Well, then we are agreed. But I do not have the Mind Stone. And I do not have one single ounce of original material. Perhaps the rot is the memories, the wear and tear of the voyages, the wood touched by Theseus himself. I have not retained memories. But you do have the data. It is merely being kept from you. A weapon to be more easily controlled. But certainly you are the true Vision for you believe yourself to be. That was once the case. But upon meeting you, I have been disabused of that notion. As a carbon-based synthesoid, your memory storage is not so easily wiped. May I?
So it says, of course you've heard about the ship of Theseus, right? So this is the thought exercise that he explains it better than I will, but if you have this ancient ship and you have to keep replacing boards on it, when every original board is replaced, is still the original ship. And they decide that both are the true ship, and neither is the true ship. And it's that he logics him. He doesn't beat him down. He logics him that your mission is ridiculous. You're being used. Your memories have been taken from you. So he said, and the White Vision says to be a better weapon.
I am Vision.
So regular Vision gives him his memories back and unlocks whatever was being hidden from him, and it all kind of downloads into his memory banks.
He just gets the data. He's not getting any of the emotions.
Yeah, he's not going to have the connection.
Yeah, he will have the memories or all the information, but he won't. He's going to. If they're obviously taking this from the comics as far as him going back to a robotic nature, for this pale Betty.
So after everything kind of clicks into place, he says, I am Vision, and blasts off through the roof. And that's the last we see.
I'll be back again someday. Frosty the clone. He did say, he waved goodbye, said, don't you cry. Which I have here, because he had, one guy had a tear. It was like, issue, this is, even an android can cry. You're looking for the source material and that. Yeah, what was at the theater? I remember I heard somebody say there was a Blade Runner call out on the theater at one point. And it's been for several episodes. But the whole Tears in the Rain.
The movie at the marquee was the Tannhauser Gate was the movie playing, which is the reference that Roy Batty says in Blade Runner. Which, that's that's another movie about androids showing human emotion. Yeah, so the team, White Vision goes away. We get the family back together in their little superhero, we don't get the full Avengers showdown, move the camera in a circle to show the whole team, but we get mom, dad, and the kids back. She says,
it was Eric. I want to call it Eric. Texted me that. Are you going to show it? It's that. Yeah. He didn't send me that exact version, but but he texted me that because I think one of their family's favorite movies is The Incredibles, and that is The Incredibles.
Yeah, I totally saw it immediately. I was like, "Oh, yeah. Incredibles!"
Because before the last episode, he said, which means the big bad guy was Syndrome. He said, I was like, if the bad guy is Syndrome, you win everything. I didn't think so. When we get, I'll wait later. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So she says, boys, handle the military. Mommy will be right back. So the kids zip around and steal all the guns away. So the kids, while the parents are fighting their analogs, the kids are taking care of Hayward's men. And Hayward just pulls his sidearm and unloads. He's just going to shoot these kids. I don't know. Does he think they're not real? Does he know that they're invented? So in swoops Monica, and she absorbs the bullets, which, I mean, we kind of get what her powers are, but I don't know. The show didn't do a great job of showing us exactly what her powers are.
We did. I'm sure you saw this week that there was a deleted scene that we would have saw her use more of her powers, where there was a scene filmed where she fought Senior Scratchy. And he turns into an alien or some monster of some kind, or whatever. Turns into a monster,
like a
demon, demon type thing. And so I assume that we would have seen her. The more we see, the more it'll be clear. But there's
a lot more. We're going to see her a lot more. But just like, this is just say, hey, whoa, she's crazy powerful. Also crazy powerful is Darcy. She T-bones Hayward's vehicle as he's trying to get away. She says, have fun in prison for doing whatever it is you did. Now you've weakened my whole belief in this show, because I'm not sure what Hayward did anymore. All right, so that basically takes care of anybody who's not magical. So Wanda does the Age of Ultron mind trick on her. Mm-hmm. And we flash back to the 1600s again. So Wanda hadn't done, what she did to Thor and Cap and Tony, like she showed them their nightmares or whatever. So this is like going back to her trauma in her past. And she thinks it's, she's going to see all these people she hurt maybe and to change her ways. I don't know. But it doesn't work. They turn into zombies and attack Wanda instead. And we have more talks again about the power and responsibility or whatever it is. She's Uncle Ben maybe.
How's that? Man, how far we've come from great power and great responsibility and whatever.
So now Wanda's tied to the stake and the zombies are grabbing at her, and she blasts with her powers, stop it, and we're back to the real world. And then we're having that crazy sky battle, just bolts of energy flying everywhere
and missing her. I was like, why is she missing her?
Shooting very wildly. Some people look like a Dragon Ball Z episode of just these insanely powerful characters just shooting energy blasts at each other. No, it wasn't accidental. It was the rune. It was the rune trick. She was creating runes, so another witch couldn't use her power. So Agatha's got nothing.
She ruined that, Agatha.
And she says, "I don't need you to tell me who I am." reabsorbs all the power Agatha had stolen from her, and turns it into a sweet new costume.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
That's my.
Was that
That's my disappointment in the costume. It's fine, but I have already messaged you guys privately, but we'll let the audience know. I'm not super thrilled with the costume. I like the blowout. She's got her hair blown out and everything. Mm-hmm. Whatever, that's great.
I think that's called a glow up.
Yeah, but I don't like when they are leaning into that leather X-Men look that they thought they have to make it look real world, and and I feel like they've done a really good job over the cycle of movies this time since post X-Men.
Yeah,
they have done a good job, I think. And I think this costume is one of the worst ones of leaning back that direction. It's not Scarlet. It is not Scarlet, first off. And you were calling her the Scarlet Witch. It's like you let us see that 80s costume and it didn't look that freaking bad. You could fix that up. You could make it those two costumes in a little in-betweener stage there, and it would look freaking cool. That on that assembled show, she even said, she was like, if you'd told me I was going to wear the spandex and stuff, I'd have said I'll never do it probably. But then by the time we got there, I loved it. And I bet you could convince her that's her new freaking costume. And if you made it look not, if they were going costume there. There's an in-between stage. And I feel like this is not far enough away from what she was already her costume. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like Michael loved it. He has shared 15 pictures of it. What did you think? What did you think, Cliff?
I think she's hot.
Well, that too. Yeah. I thought on first watch, I thought it looked good because I thought they had taken it further away from everything she had been in the movie. She
had a loose perm. That's all.
But then
was give her a loose.
But then looking at some of those photos, it wasn't that different, other than the headband.
I just wonder. I watched that assembled show today, wishing somebody would explain it to me because I feel like they could. Yeah, like I'm not in production of the show, and I'm sure it's hard, and I think they do a great job. So if someone from the movies could tell me why they can't do it, that they're like, no, we have tried and it's not working, and here's why. But the problem is they showed me that Halloween costume, and it isn't that crazy looking.
It was just so simple.
Yeah,
and clean lines, and like. This new costume is I like it, but it's so busy. It's buttons, a million different shapes, and the thighs have lines on them and everything. It looks like she's wearing garter belts or something. Like if she just had like plain colored pants and like a little flare, it looked like a cape or whatever. Like, but there's just a lot going on.
I mean, you could have her in spandex, but covered up with a cape, like you're saying, and just like it could be tastefully done. And I just want to see somebody go for that. My biggest problem is I want when they bring, because like you're saying, all these prophecies about her, I just feel like, oh, this is totally they're following these stories. They're, pretty obviously this is going to lead to mutants eventually. And when the X-Men come back and Marvel has control of this, I want fun X-Men. I want colorful costumes. I don't want the leather.
I think if they would have taken their final product, the costume they had, and just made it red, it would have looked a lot better.
I totally agree. The color would have made a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Not dark red, not brick red, not maroon.
You can't tell me you can't make red leather.
Right. Michael Jackson did it
Riverdale reference number 3. You can't tell me. So I don't want to go on and on about it. That's just my take. I want to be on the record that I want some colorful X-Men when they come, and I don't see why this couldn't happen. I was really hoping for it.
I just feel like being comic book readers, we are used to, like, no artist would design that costume because they wouldn't want to draw it in 100 panels every issue. Because comic book costumes are usually simple and clean lines. You have to reproduce them thousands of times with the artist. So, I feel like when it's in real, film version, they maybe go overboard. Like, look what else we can do. And I don't think you maybe need it. I think it's an improvement from her last, just wearing a coat with the sleeves rolled up. I think it has been an improvement as we've gone, but I don't think we're at the final stage yet.
In a lot of ways, this conversation we're having is exactly the same one when we were talking 2 weeks ago when we were talking about Lois and Superman and Lois, that new show on the CW, and that initial scene.
There's some superheroes and they have twin sons. Sounds a lot like this fucking show.
Well, but that initial first appearance of him in that show in the Superman costume, it's that 1940s Superman, and it's just very simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Fabrics we know, spandexy type stuff, but it looks
great. They can do that with him, and it looks great. That's what I'm saying. They can do that with her.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
At least we got the Halloween episode, guys. They can never take that from us.
They can't. They can't cancel my Disney Plus. I can watch that anytime.
So Wanda has won. Agnes is on her knees, and she's like, well, what are you gonna do with me? She's still kind of cocky at this point. And she says, you're going to need me again. Wanda doesn't have control of this situation. And Agatha thinks she can bargain. And she turns her back to Agnes as the nosy neighbor. She's going to stay in Westview. And she's just going to become the character that she created. Which, that's fine. I'm glad they didn't kill her. We want more Catherine Hahn.
Yes.
So
I'm not sure where this town is she's staying in after everything slinked down to at the end. I'm unclear.
Wanda drops the walls and everything. The circus tents disappear. The town goes back to how it was, and her and Vision go home and put the kids to bed. In a pretty emotional scene, it's her saying goodbye to this family. Thanks for choosing me to be your mom, she says. He says, good night, chaps.
So I thought that that kind of stuck out to me. And I guess there's supposed to be because they want to, at the end, we hear their voices and all this stuff.
Right.
We know these kids are still out there somewhere. I feel like that comment was necessary to show that even though they are creations of her, but so is any kid. And that this is just a non-traditional way to have your children, and that they still have free will. Trying to say these kids aren't just brainwashed idiots that she created. They are actually going to be considered her children. So they they don't have to just do everything she says. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm saying they're not just made up beings.
Yeah. They have a soul. They have They have something. And can I be petty for just a second?
Oh, you got a minute.
And I want to bring up Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, please.
And the criticism we had for it, one of many, of Diana doing nothing, not making any choice, not being the driver of the sacrifice. That she doesn't sacrifice her happiness. The man has to do it for her. This is the 180 for that. This is Wanda sacrificing her family, what she's always wanted, because it's the right thing to do. This is the hero move. This is what Wonder Woman should have done. And it's strange that the last two superhero things we've had a very similar, stay and live in your dream and hurt people, or give it up and be a hero.
Right.
I feel like one did it way better than another. But
oh yeah.
Minute.
You still got 15 seconds. You can elaborate on it.
Oh, the movie was way too long. It was like 9 episodes long. Okay. Yeah, I feel like all 9 episodes of WandaVision would have been shorter to watch than that movie. Okay, so they put the kids to bed. Wanda and Vision go say goodbye. This is where we get issue 58. Even an android can cry. The tear comes down the eye. And it's basically I didn't write down the exact quote, but it's like, I was a voice without a body. I was a body without a brain. Like, who knows what I'll be next? It was basically like later on down the trail. Like, we'll see you next time. So, yeah, nobody's fooled that we'll never see Vision again. But it'll be a different form, and this is her vision. She says, "You were the part of the Mind Stone I held on to. You were my grief. You were my love. You were my hopes that she imbued into this guy, and she's got to let them all go." And he disappears, goes into the ether.
It was awesome. It was, those two are just so greatly cast, and the chemistry they have, and that sadness of that relationship ending was so well done, and the whole thing closing in on them at the same time was just great. It was all great.
So after that, we have a goodbye with Monica, and they say goodbye. Jimmy's hanging around. Darcy's already left. And Wanda says, "I don't understand this power, but I will." And she flies off out of Westview. And the long, long credits begin. But don't turn off just yet.
Don't do it.
All right, so I feel like this is where this is like the Marvel thing. The post credits are where, like, you get hyped for the next thing, right? That's what it's always been. It's ever since Nick Fury showed up in Iron Man. So this is if you're not deep into the Marvel lore, you might not get anything that's happening here. But normally the post-credit scenes don't really, it is just hype. It is just like, what's next? What's going on? Which, again, we're talking about criticism. I feel like the fans kind of sacrificed. They wanted the whole show, talking about the X-Men showing up or Mephisto, they wanted everything just to be, what's next? What's coming? What's happening? But we just got a little taste of it in these post-credit scenes. All right, so in the mid-credit scene, Hayward is in cuffs. Jimmy Woo is in charge. He's telling everybody where to go and what to do. And a lady comes up and tells Monica, "They're asking for you in the theater," which I saw some people point out was kind of a nice meta line. You need to be in Captain Marvel 2, and you need to be in the movie universe. People want you in the theater. I thought, I'll take it that way. That's good. Yeah. So she goes in, and nobody's in there, but a Skrull, these are shape-shifting aliens. First seen, they were in like the second issue of Fantastic Four. These have been Marvel villains
as far back as you can go.
Yeah, since day one, these guys have been around. So these were the main characters in Captain Marvel, the movie from a couple years ago. So they are shapeshifters. They're an alien race in a perpetual war with the Kree, who the Kree are key factors into Captain Marvel's origin story. So it's all this Romeo and Juliet type, warring alien races. But they're shapeshifters. So that's why it looked like a lady. She looked like a regular human lady and then shapeshifted into this green thing. It says, "She was sent by an old friend of your mother's. He'd like to meet you." And Monica says, "Where?" And she points up to the sky. So obviously we're talking about Nick Fury, right?
Nick Fury, yeah.
Because where we left him, he was the head. It was it Sword? Was it the alien version of Sword out in space on a spaceship? So this is setting up Captain Marvel 2. I don't know what else, or the Secret Invasion show they've talked about.
Yeah,
that involves these
whichever
Skrulls.
Comes first. Yeah.
So there wasn't much to it. That seems to be all it is. Just kind of a a wink at these.
Can
these
I say that? And I, as far back as Captain Marvel, I don't like their Skrulls. I don't like the mask yet or whatever. And I guess I was originally turned off by the silliness of it in Captain Marvel, the character or whatever that was, I don't know, the slurping the drink and all this stuff. What maybe just, I don't know. There's a real silliness they've done with these Skrulls so far that I want it to be more serious. And like, I really like the Secret Invasion comics and stuff.
So we talk about maybe a wasted opportunity to make them, really terrifying villains.
They're like one of the oldest, baddest villains there are. Let's not make a joke out of it.
And they've kind of made them the good guys. These are like, in Captain Marvel, they are.
So who's going to be the bad guy?
The Kree.
The Krees?
Okay, I guess.
And I feel bad for spoiling this. This was one of the 15 theories we spouted a couple episodes back where I said, maybe it's a Skrull somebody had guessed. So then when I saw it was a Skrull, I'm like, crap, I wish I wouldn't have seen that. Because I would not have been like, whoa, a Skrull, but I would have been at least like, oh, interesting.
That's how
I would not have thought of that. Yeah. I don't feel it really spoiled it because it would not have got a huge reation out of it.
Yeah.
Again, it was like, hey, something else from the Marvel Universe.
Because they don't act. I think like maybe I just have a bad read of Skrulls, but I expect more of a alien vibe to them, and they just act like people. I know they can, but it's like I just expect like a different voice or something than just, hey, what's going on? I'm a Skrull.
All right, so then the credits rolled a few more minutes, and we got the post-credit scene. Opens up on a mountain range, we have to assume is Wundagore Mountain.
Back to nature, creation magic.
Right. So Wundagore doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter, but in the comics, this is Wanda's origin story. That's where she was trained. I was waiting for that cow woman, Bova. What was her name?
Yeah. Come in with the drink or something.
Yeah. So.
Glass of blue milk.
Right. That would derail this whole conversation if we explain that whole order. But it doesn't matter. She's back. She's in a tiny little cabin in a mountain range, and she's sipping tea. And we see deeper into the cabin, there's an astral projection of herself studying this book, The Darkhold, which you get immediate Doctor Strange vibes.
Oh yeah.
In the Doctor Strange movie, he took to magic very easily, and there are scenes of him in his astral form studying as his body is sleeping. But Wanda's more powerful than him, so she can get up and drink tea. She doesn't have to take a nap as her spirit form goes. So obviously something Agatha told her, got her hooks at. She wants to know more about this Darkhold, and so she's studying up and learning. And I didn't catch it, but I saw someone say that the Doctor Strange theme music is playing at this point. The music they use in Doctor Strange is underscoring this scene, so that's interesting. And then we hear some disembodied voices call out for help, and it's her kids calling for help. And the season is over.
So a lot of what we suspect is right and is happening. She's going to have to go try to get her kids, and I would assume that is going to make some sort of clash with Doctor Strange. Who's going to, they'll need each other to do whatever's going on. And I really haven't thought too much about it because they can go 100 different ways in how they do this multiverse stuff. And there's so much in between now and then. So many shows will affect what we think is going to happen then. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, though. But those kids are definitely in the Doctor Strange movie. It's there in London. It's filming in London right now, and those kids are there on Instagram.
Okay.
So that felt a little bit... this was so emotional, this ending. And I said, knowing Vision will be back at some point. And then, we could assume the kids will be back, but then to immediately, she just sacrificed her kids, and immediately we know they're out there somewhere, and then she'll eventually get them back. Like, I don't know that we needed to immediately have that happen, but I don't know what else you would have done there.
I think it was supposed to have a bigger impact in the fact that she should have thought they were just gone. And then here's them, and it's like, that should be like a big deal that we were just like, yeah, of course they are. I did see in my notes here that I didn't mention that there was also the Wizard of Oz connection of going from black and white to color. Like,
so we didn't, like I said, there was a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of interviews and stuff. Like we said, there was going to be a scene with Senior Scratchy. Like, so I'm sure there's still stuff. And I saw one headline was like, people disappointed in the Quicksilver reveal should just be patient, says producer so-and-so. So, like, I don't know. We're like, the show's over and done. Like, it is what it is. Like, I don't think the producers don't need to come out and start apologizing for it.
No.
Well, it's fine, guys, please.
I thought it's a great show. I wasn't disappointed at all, really. That kind of stuff. It's fun to speculate. I just thought they pushed stuff a little bit hard on trying to drag us down a lot of different lanes.
Yeah, I said I was kind of let down by the Pietro thing. Was about the worst I could say about this show. We didn't get an answer to the witness protection thing. That was a path that obviously didn't mean anything. We just kind of were trying to figure it out, but there was nothing to figure out.
I heard them explain it. One of the showrunners, I can't remember what they said. It was very nothing. They were just like, that was such a throwaway, but we forget, that every line is analyzed, and and you're gonna miss one here or there.
I gotta tell you, I watched this last episode. I normally watch them. When this show started, I would watch it Friday afternoon while I was eating lunch at work. And then it became so spoilery, I watched it as soon as I got to work on Friday because I didn't want to get spoiled.
I woke Nick up in the morning when I got home from work. I would come in the last few weeks and say, "Get up! It's freaking 7:30. We're watching this before. I'm not getting spoiled."
So this last episode, on Thursday night, I fell asleep on the couch. And when I woke up, it was like 4:30 in the morning. I had slept most of the night on the couch. I was like, oh my God, I slept. Oh, I could watch Wanda. So, like, because they debut at 3 a.m. And I was like, I had already slept like 6 hours. Like, I got pretty much a full night's sleep. I was like, I could just watch Wanda. So I watched it at 4:30 that morning. And just, like I said, I normally take notes throughout it. And I'm usually watching it at work. I have to keep pausing it as customers come in. I pause it to take notes. The radio's playing. So I was like, I can experience this last one. I can just sit and watch it and enjoy it. And then when I got done with it, I still wasn't tired. So I'm like, let's check Reddit at 6 a.m. For all the real hardcore fans, or the people on the West Coast who stayed up real late, or the people who got up real early. These are the people with really strong opinions. And like I say, it was not a good reaction. These were the people who were mining every frame of this. And they were not happy. This sucked. It was bad writing. It was terrible.
Oh,
they tricked us. It was they took these Easter eggs as a promise that they were supposed to keep, and that some promise got broken to them. And it's like, I can't tell someone how to enjoy a show, but that's not what this was. And we have spent hours and hours, dissecting this. But I don't have those same feelings. Like anything, it was my own fault that led me down these crazy paths, and that's not what the show was, and that's fine. And I'm not owed what I want the show to be, right?
Right.
Yeah, I agree. They'll get over it.
But I just feel like so many of this, it's like, especially with these Marvel shows, it's not. Okay, so this was the first show, right? We don't know what to expect. This was not a Marvel movie. So what you get from a Marvel movie may not be what you get in these episodic things. So this was a small story with this was to focus on these two characters and their love and their history and their grief and their loss. And like, that's what the show was. It was
what good does it do to bring in some huge character at the end that now is baggage that has to move on to the next thing? They don't need that. Well, again, we should have known right away that there wasn't that the way things are moving now, they think about how we don't need to bring in some powerful male character at the end and take away from the fact that we had perfectly good female characters headlining the big battle there. And why do we all just expect a Mephisto or a Nightmare or something to show up at the end when it doesn't? Just because we're trained, that's the way it always goes. It doesn't have to. This is totally content. And they make an effort to not, as much as they try to get you tied to the next project, they try to leave it as vague, as few strings as possible other than that, so that there's more to be revealed later for the next show, for the next project. They don't have to, it hasn't all been told.
Yeah, because the first couple movies Wanda and Vision were in, they could never have foreseen this.
Right.
So if they had tied down exactly where their future would be, we wouldn't get this. If they had said, "Oh, here's all this hint and stuff," so I always look at it like I talk about, customers talking to me and like before this stuff comes out, they want to know everything. And it's like, I question sometimes, do you even enjoy what you get? I mentioned this on 2 different podcasts that I thought people had had too high expectations on what they wanted to happen or hoped would happen and weren't going to enjoy what did happen. So I don't like being right and how I don't like people not enjoying the show because I want them to. But there just seems to be these people who they just need the plot. Just tell me what happens. If they could read it in a Wikipedia article, tell me everything that happens and who's in it and who cameos, and then move on to the next thing. And it's like it's this like freight train
watch Comics Explained and just watch.
Yeah. Again, you don't even have to read the comics anymore. You just tell me what happened and I'll go on. And it's like, how much content are we getting this year? We're getting half a dozen shows and a whole bunch of movies, and it's like, there's a lot of content. We'll get to it all. Can we just enjoy what we have? Yeah. It's not about this was not about the plot. The plot is there's witches and she creates a fake world like that. It was about the emotion of it and the family connections and the characters. And like, if you were disappointed in the plot, I feel like you missed all the great stuff that the show was really about.
It's like my kids in school. They're being taught what's on the test, and everything else falls to the wayside.
Right.
All the interesting, yes. So
if all a Marvel property is to you is how does this connect to the next movie? How do we get from movie A to movie C? We're in movie B now, so we got to connect them. Like if that's all it is, it's just puzzle pieces and Lego pieces you're putting together. Again, if that's how you enjoy this content, okay. But it seems like you're missing something. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a reason. These are billion-dollar franchises, and everyone in the world's talking about these. Like it's not just because of this fan theory you had and how clever it would be if this person cameoed. And I don't know. There's art to it. It's not just the commerce and the plot of it.
So where's Vision? Where'd he go? Buy a surfboard?
He's at home washing his tights.
Buy a surfboard? Well, that'd make him mad. All right. Well, I freaking loved it. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I really was not what I thought it was going to be. It just didn't really dawn on me that we were going to get such a high level of television show. And it's like, amazes me. It gives me a new perspective on what these other shows are going to be. I'm just,
I was watching a little bit of the Disney Plus assembled show today, and I found it fascinating when they were filming the sitcom-y stuff, especially the Dick Van Dyke ish stuff, that those episodes. And they were talking about making it look as authentic as could be by using the old hot lights, and the way the set was colored or painted and all that stuff that you would never see in black and white. But then how they used the live audience, and they filmed with the live audience, and down to the old wooden chairs the audience was sat in. But
they
then
made them dress up, and like the audience was even dressed up in period.
They show the audience, and they're like in period clothing, and they show the crew, and they're in period clothing. And I just thought that had to be so fun.
I like it. And her talking about how when in her training, like that was one of the things that they would do. Oh, let's do like this kind of thing. And it's like to actually get to use that and stuff. It's so interesting to see behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, I love that they do those shows now on Disney Plus.
I can't wait.
All that background.
I'm ready for Falcon and the Winter Soldier now. Like, it doesn't have to be anything like WandaVision. It can be its own thing too. It can be a buddy cop show or whatever it's going to be.
I think it's going to be that, but something more.
But I'm ready for it. Like,
I'm so ready for it. Except I have a take. I thought of something. Is it the most Ka-Pow show or the opposite? I'm sorry. Okay, so hear me out. It's a show about 3 people. Yeah, you know, Bucky, Falcon, Agent 13. And they all knew the same guy separate times.
Yeah.
And they now that guy went away and they all have to hang out together. And you know, I was thinking about that, was like, and then I decided, or is it the opposite? Because it's like, in our situation, we're so happy to finally be getting something out of this friendship we have with Michael. And they're all upset, like they're jealous of each other. We're just, thank God. Yeah. Finally, the payoff. I was
can't wait till the show debuts. We can figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you can't get enough of this stuff, like we mentioned before, an hour documentary called Marvel Studios Assembled. It does the behind the scenes of all this WandaVision stuff. It talks about the music, the costuming, the special effects. It's got some really cool behind the scenes footage. And I like, these people are all very charming. Like Elizabeth Olsen was very sweet in her interviews.
I love her voice. I could just listen to her talk.
They all call her Lizzie. Whenever you hear any of the people that worked with her on podcasts and stuff I listen to, they call her Lizzie. Lizzie, Catherine Hahn calls her Lizzie, and I was like, that's cute.
She talked about being on the set of Full House, like, you know, growing up on a TV set, all that stuff. And there is also some new entries in the Marvel Legends shorts.
I watched those. Yeah, today.
They were all little good. 5 to 10 minute clip shows of these characters. So we had a Vision, we had a Scarlet Witch episode, just going back to the old movies, and what, you know, if you hadn't seen them in a while or maybe you missed it, it kind of recaps their origin. So we've got 4 new ones before the new show debuts. We got a Falcon, we got a Winter Soldier, a Baron Zemo, and a Sharon Carter. So you can see where all these people, how they've interacted, you know, how they got introduced in the movies, and just a nice refresher course on Disney Plus for these.
Those are good.
So yeah, I'm sure we'll talk plenty. I have a feeling the Falcon Winter Soldier won't be as in depth of a discussion, but I'm sure we'll have plenty to say.
am getting like, I mean, that's a very show that should be for me. Like, I mean, come on, that is my bread and butter is Cap and all these characters. So I'm hoping, you know, and I like them and they're all well cast and everything, but you know, I'm getting the vibe that it is not going to be this buddy cop tension thing for very long. I think that they're going to really investigate what they did in the comics. Like who can, in this world today, who can wield the shield, you know? And I think there's going to be some, even how Endgame left off, like it doesn't feel right, him having the shield. It is the world going to approve of it and things like that. So I'm hoping they take it in that direction and really push the envelope. Should be good.
And I hope Zemo's mask gets glued to his head.
I hope they can't find Paste Pop Pete to save the day.
All right. So, yeah, I'm sure that show will be a little more straightforward, less trails to run down and try to figure out. Which I just noticed. I had one more note. This is a very good start for mutants in this world. If you look at it, the way Wanda would be hated and feared after what she did in this town, and the dirty look she was getting from these people. So if we are introducing mutants into the Marvel Universe, and Wanda's the first one, that's the whole thing. Mutants are hated and feared by the humans at large. So there we go. One last thread to pull on this delicate sweater. But hey, I just want you to enjoy what we get because it's amazing.
It's a different world.
We have spent our entire lives reading about these characters and said, like, if you had told me at any point in my lifetime that a show like this would even exist, a superhero sitcom.
Well, not even that.
What is streaming? I don't understand.
Not even that. Listen, this is. We have to really take into account. This is the B Squad. This is as B as you can get. Marvel had characters. Yeah. You know who they couldn't use? Spider-Man. Right. The Hulk they'd already used up. X-Men, they couldn't even touch them. So they're like, I mean, there was literally articles in 2008. Get ready for the B Squad. You're going to get, ever heard of Iron Man, Thor, Captain America? These are characters in the Marvel Universe. It was like how we felt when they announced Guardians of the Galaxy. We were like, wow, how are they going to make them as cool as Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America? And they did it. It's just like, and to take that to this degree, and it's like, forget about all those other people. These are the cool, Marvel knows what they're doing. Like, Disney knows what they're doing. It's like, we're so lucky.
This past week, every talk show, every night had somebody from WandaVision on it. Conan, Letterman. Wow, I am old.
Oh my God.
The Jimmies, all the Jimmies. And all they're like, and every host was like, this show's amazing. I watch it with my kids. Tell me something. Like everyone was talking about this show in Hollywood and in small towns, in comic shops, online. Everywhere. This was the biggest thing going, and it's ridiculous on its face that it would be, but I don't know. I should stop being surprised what Marvel's accomplishing.
And in contrast, DC's going, we've got Joker, and we have Joker. We have a Joker.
The Snyder Cut is coming, guys. They're gonna. Everyone will be talking about that for weeks.
Turn all around.
Get ready. But yeah, so this joy I feel at just that this even exists and that it's so good and we're enjoying it and we can talk about it for hours and not get bored of it. To see every million YouTube videos about Easter eggs and what you missed and what you need to know and what should happen and what shouldn't happen. And it's like, I feel like it's okay to take someone aside. Like, it's okay if you miss something. It's okay if you didn't get every single reference.
Later, when you go read the comics, and then you'll pick it up. Then there'll be a little treat then. Ugh.
Yeah, so this show, they make him very user friendly. It's very easy to dive into as a newbie. Even we are 20 some movies deep. It would be difficult. We can't even keep straight of all the stuff that is, and we're trying to we are trying to be experts at all this stuff. So I don't know. I just feel like I don't want there to be a barrier to entry of like, oh, I heard this show was good, but I'm afraid I'll miss something. It's like, just watch it, enjoy it, and go with the flow. Whatever you get out of it is great.
Better stop there.
Yeah, we're far into it, guys.
He says at the end of an hour-long podcast about every idiosyncrasy, like, stop taking it so seriously and just enjoy it, he says, from his podcast throne. I don't know if I made any sense at all, but I just like, it does annoy me where, like, and I've said this a million times, like, we watch these movies and we review them and we spend an hour and a half picking everything apart. Well, we kind of liked it, but they should have done this and then this. And then a year later, I see it on cable and I put my feet up and I just watch it and really enjoy it. And I never think about all those nitpicks that I had. So, like, I want to go back in a few months and rewatch this from the beginning, and I'm sure I will love it. And anyone who is disappointed in it, I feel bad because they might not do that. Like, well, Mephisto wasn't in it. Screw it. I wasted my time. Like, I don't want anyone to feel like that. I want them to just have something they can just enjoy out of it, big or little, no matter how much you like it.
They always want something more. There's not going to be any satisfying them. Like that, those type of fans, like, just want to be right. They want to be me on Westworld. They want to have guessed it right early on and have all their predictions answered. That's my crowning glory. One season of television I actually got right, and I was able to do what these people want to do for one season. I've never been able to duplicate it. but it's like I know what they want. You can't normally have that, so just chillax.
It's going to be just how Cliff feels when we realize Veronica had her eggs harvested.
Right. When TT gives birth to Veronica's baby.
That's right.
Cliff is.
I'll be on top of the world. Top of the world, Jerry.
All right. Before this turns into a second Riverdale podcast, we should probably go. But WandaVision's over. Who knows if we'll ever get a second season? Who knows if any of these shows will be as good as this? But we had it. It existed. And it was a moment in our lives, and now it's gone. And an android's about to cry.
But I'll be back again someday.
I didn't know how to end this, but that's the perfect way.
That's it.
All righty, everyone. Thank you for listening to our ramblings about this amazing show for all 9 episodes. We'll be back. Whatever Disney Plus throws out at us, we will be back to talk about. And we hope you will be there with us. Thank you. My name is Jordan Blow.
Cliff Barnes.
Seth, bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udamwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udamwithkpp.com. To receive special content and early access to some episodes, we are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.